What up? Thanks a lot for visiting my channel, Sequential Geek. I be that Sequential Geek, y'all, and I really appreciate you swinging by. I got this 420 subs appreciation contest. You can use that email address for deal 1. It's 95 questions. Whoever gets the most right will win the same option as deal 2. Trying to recognize some of my subscribers. What is up? Welcome to Sequential Geek. Comic book haul 69, part 36. Look at that. 50% off sale over at the comic book shop I typically go to, Vision Comics and Oddities. About half an hour southwest of Denver. Please check them out. If you're ever in the area, you will not regret it. Vision Comics and Oddities. So I was checking out the sale. Got a bunch of stuff. And this first comic, Free Comic Book Day. Archie. Past, Present, and Future Fun. 80 years. So, when it comes to stuff like Free Comic Book Day, I love the timeless comics. I love the stuff that is iconic, classic, timeless. Timeless in the sense that, you know, you could always have a great conversation about these types of titles with somebody, regardless of the type of collector. From that concept to, hey, it's timeless, it's classic. Someone will always be interested in doing a trade, if not spend some money on this book, especially since it's not stamped. This is kind of bittersweet. I mean, having red hair, fair skin myself, you know, it's not the type of person that's typically put front and center for pushing product on screens. Yet here we got this television show, a little bittersweet, because I think his hair is dyed red. Whatever. I'm glad that it's this successful soap opera type television show for young adults. Archie. It's all about having fun, and, you know, I can't say I was a huge fan of Archie. I just like what he represents for me. The fact that it's been around for over 80 years now. Damn. I don't keep up with the artists and their styles, but it was recently brought to my attention 2 comic book hauls ago in Comic Book Haul 69, part 34. I had a comment from Paulo Costa. Shout out to Paulo Costa on the other side of the pond. What's up, man? Out of Portugal. Please check him out. He's a frequent guest at Cavern of Chaos, presently being hosted by Jared Osborne. I believe that channel is hosting Cavern of Chaos. Whenever you get the chance to check out that live stream, Cavern of Chaos. So, Paulo Costa hit me up with this remark, commenting about the comic book Santos Sisters. Santos Sisters, one of the creators, by the way, when I showed off that comic book in that same comic book haul, part 34, just 2 hauls ago, the YouTube channel American Nature Comics. It turns out that is one of the co-creators of Santos Sisters. Fake Petre. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Petre is the last name. Please check out his YouTube channel. So that style, it's like the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, kind of like Psycho KO from Alterna Comics was based on that. Well, it was brought to my attention, thankfully, by Paulo Costa, how this style is called Ligne Claire. I know I'm not pronouncing it right. Ligne Claire. Ligne Claire. Clear lines, right? That's how it would directly translate. There's no cross-hatching. There's, even the shadows have some type of bright, or more brighter colors than you'd expect. And I got some feedback from Paulo on that style. Really appreciate it. It was initially created by Herge. Wow, I am not going to get these pronunciations correct. I apologize. Herge, the creator of Tintin, this Belgian cartoonist. There are other Belgian cartoonists you could compare different types of Ligne Claire styles to, like this, but ultimately I just like this comment I was left with from Paulo Costa saying, clear line style is deceptively detailed with a fluidity of movement that almost looks like an animated cartoon. After dropping it when you become a teenager because it's, quote, it's for kids. You only notice how meticulous the artists were when you come back years later as a more versatile reader. It's the same as figuring out how good Carl Barks was on Disney Comics. It's another example. Very cool remark. Appreciate the feedback, bringing my attention to new types of style, new types of sequential storytelling. Really appreciate that. So I'm going to take care of the condition because I dig Archie. I dig my free comic book day, unstamped comics, some type of iconic classic symbol like Archie. So it's like to find this, especially since it's the 80th anniversary as well. Thank you for swinging by. Thank you very much for giving me the chance, for checking out my channel. I love throwing lots of info, so just chill, relax, absorb the 411, the data relay dump, all of it coming at ya, right ya. Sequential Geek. So this Excalibur, it's from 2004. Kind of cool concept though with this version of Excalibur. It's not the one that's based out of England. This is the Excalibur stories that are based off of the fallout post Cassandra Nova's genocide on Genosha. So you've got this vacuum being filled in the rubble by people like Unis the Untouchable. And he's got kind of like this gang going on. And just kind of like the story idea, you know, Xavier is returned to Genosha, trying to help people, and Magneto teams up with him so that they can help all of these people who are just devastated by the attack that occurred in those first few issues of New X-Men when Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely took over that X-Men comic book as of issue 114. Awesome new Marvel goodness, but you also have the introduction of a couple of new characters with issue number 1. This is issue 2, but right here you got Wicked. She can communicate with the dead. You got Freak Show. This guy right here can turn himself into this crazy creature. So their first appearance is in issue 1. This woman right here can teleport. Hub. This is her first appearance right here in issue 2. This Excalibur comic out of 2004. Two main first appearances here. The first appearance of Hub and there's a Freak Show. There's Wicked. I don't know what the deal is with these tentacles here on Callisto, the leader of the Morlocks, right? So is that supposed to be a secondary mutation? I missed out on that. Kind of like, you know, how Emma Frost has her diamond skin. So don't know if that's where those tentacle arms came from, but just want to show the first appearance of Hack. I like the idea of these characters. They're also pretty young as well, which is, I think that's needed for a lot more. There's Hack, telepath, mind reader, can hack your mind. If you are a pilot, then he can learn everything you know in an instant. So here we have this Indian woman. She was a police detective out of Calcutta, India. This image right here. It was Unlimited X-Men issue 27, I believe, is the first appearance of an Omega Sentinel. But this detective from India, she was trying to investigate the disappearance of another police officer. When she got kidnapped and against her will, she was turned into this like cyborg Omega Sentinel. Shapandar, I believe is her name. And I think Hack is a covert for this secret organization called Chimera, initially at least. While Hub is just trying to survive, and she has to deal with Unis the Untouchable and his gang. This is the third volume of Excalibur from 2004 to 2005. Ran for 14 issues total. By Chris Claremont and Aaron Lepestre is doing the interiors, and each of the covers are actually by Andy Park. Another shout out from the other side of the pond. Out of England, Daz the Comic Key Chaser. What is up, man? Excalibur, just had to mention it real quick because Excalibur is based out of Great Britain. This comic book is from 1987 and it is a one-shot. It was followed up by a 125-issue run of Excalibur starting in 1988 by the same team here, written by Chris Claremont. The first 25 issues of the 1988 Excalibur run, that first volume, the first, 25 issues were written by Chris Claremont, and then you got this issue here, and then the first 24 issues, the cover and interiors, were done by Alan Davis. Paul Neary inks. So the cool thing about this comic book, as far as just being a collector and looking for different variants and versions of printings of comic books. Oh nice, we got Longshot and Dazzler pairing up right there. I love that. It's a newsstand copy, right? So you know that it's a first printing if it says $3.25, but then this Curtis Company symbol right there, that's the company that is known for doing the newsstand distribution. If you see this here on a cover, typically on the back, if it's not on the front, will be the newsstand edition barcode. I don't mind that there's scuffs. It's still a newsstand. Psyched. Especially with that Alan Davis artwork. I think it was Spiral from Mojo World had replaced Betsy Braddock's eyeballs with that Mojo World technology. Psylocke. That was in New Mutants Annual number 2, right? And Betsy Braddock got her eyeballs replaced. More of that Marvel goodness, that original Marvel goodness where they mix technology with powers. Next up, X Factor number 15. This is not only the suicide of Warren Worthington, this is the first appearance of SHIP, the new base of operations of X Factor. Pretty tragic story. So you've got the mutant massacre that ran originally in the Uncanny X-Men issues 210 to 213, when Mr. Sinister sent those group of marauders commit genocide on the Morlocks underneath New York City in those tunnels. That story was written by Chris Claremont. These X Factor issues are written by Louise Simonson with art by her husband, Walter Simonson. So I think it turns out that Cameron Hodge, whose first appearance was in X Factor issue 1, he used this tragedy as an excuse to amputate Warren Worthington's wings. Cameron Hodge hated mutants and considered Warren Worthington an enemy. And it was issue number 11 of X Factor, the 25th anniversary issue. Walt Simonson took over the art, and that was when the Marauders crucified Warren Worthington by his wings in those tunnels beneath New York City. Additionally, Cameron Hodge had Warren Worthington's girlfriend killed. So he's devastated, and he commits suicide in this issue. I think it's later in issue 25 when he returns after Apocalypse turns him into one of his horsemen, Death. And then Warren Worthington, after that event is over, Warren Worthington doesn't return until issue number until issue number 36. Issue number 36 is when Warren Worthington returns as Archangel during that Inferno story. He stays with the X Factor team until the whole team changes up in issue number 71. So this is by Louise Simonson. We got Walter Simonson art, and this is the first appearance of SHIP, which was left behind by the Celestials. Apocalypse called SHIP, called it his home. Then after this whole story with Apocalypse, SHIP, this structure left behind by the Celestials, is then used as the base of operations for X Factor. January 1987. I know I already showed off this New Universe comic book when I was showing off my OG long boxes. I made a video on each box. These boxes from the 80s. My original comic book boxes. My original Copper Age hauls. And they're all in alphabetical order. So check out the M's. We got ourselves right here a Mr. Marcus Hazard. Smoking on the cover. That's why I got this other copy. I figured 50 cents. It's a newsstand copy. Nice spine here. Great condition. And yeah, I think I might start buying some smoking covers every now and then. I like those cyberpunk babes on motorcycles, and I like, just for fun, if I can get something that's at least a VF. Newsstand and a smoking cover. Yeah, I've been keeping track of those that I've been showing that have smoking on them. Unique, niche cover collecting. Cover collecting itself is a niche aspect, right? So these New Universe comics, they were short-lived. A lot of the concepts were really just almost rip-off of the Marvel titles. I think this ran for 12 or 13 issues. It had one annual in which Merc died. So the last issue, I think it was issue 12, he wasn't even in it. All of these New Universe titles, by the way, started in November 1986, except for this one, which was from October 1986. This is the flagship title. Great title. Really enjoyed this. I found yet another newsstand copy. The nice flawless spine. 50 cents. So I decided to grab it. This guy, Ken Connell, it's really cool. Like I said before, check out my last couple of hauls. I've done some reviews on this comic. And just basically wanted to point out how the version that they have of Star Brand that's been transferred into the 616, yeah, it's great. You know, at the end of the day, they've got these Marvel New Universe brands transferred over to the main Marvel Universe. That's great. But this guy, he might not be worldly like I described before, but he's got lots of life experience. He is nothing like the current version. The current version's all skinny and he seems like naive and totally opposite of this guy. Another cool aspect of this, and just the New Universe comics in general, especially too if you look at like the design work of Spitfire, it's more realistic. I like that technical design drawing of Spitfire, the New Universe armor type title. But once again, that armor title, it's like a ripoff of Iron Man. I mean, it is what it is. New Universe was something that really should have started off, first of all, with that event, The Pit. That should have been the first event, which occurred as of Star Brand issue 10, I think it was. And then also with New Universe, they should have just had it end with only a few survivors, so to speak, entering the 616, sort of like how that Secret Wars storyline by Hickman went. But I really do dig Star Brand. It was initially written, I think, the first 10 issues by Jim Shooter, art by John Romita Jr. John Byrne took it over. It went more into like a super being than a superhero type story, but it was fine. This was my favorite title of the New Universe stories, and just be curious y'all's opinion of Star Brand. Okay, so the YouTube channel called Harry Bauer, Harry, Harry Bauer, that YouTube channel, he does these kind of motion comics, dramatization of comics. He'll show off the panels, each page with a voiceover. And his latest video is doing an audio comic of Fantastic Four 261 with Alpha Flight 2, 3, and 4. So please check that out and recommend that video to people that are maybe new to comics. They don't know anything about Marvel for whatever reason, however that's possible. Or, it's more possible that, sure, they're aware of the Marvel brands, but hey, they really still haven't read any of the comic books. They don't know who John Byrne is. Somebody's new to comics like that, especially if they're new to the Copper Age, then direct them over to Harry Bauer's site. I don't know the guy. I just really like the work that he does because I don't typically like motion comics, dramatizations of comics and stuff like that. So given it was impressive work, let me know what you think. Just wanted to show it off really quick. It's by John Byrne, written and drawn. John Byrne, I think up until like the age 7 or 8, he lived in England, and then the rest of his life, he was raised in Canada. I love John Byrne. I did a whole sequential spotlight video on Mr. John Byrne last February. Please check it out if you want to learn about John Byrne's work during the 80s. John Byrne Copper Age goodness. Got my whole video on it. Look at that. So awesome. This is newsprint. There's no reason why we can't switch to newsprint. Do you feel that your experience looking at this comic is hindered because it's newsprint? I mean, seriously. It's not like they can't afford it. Awesome. So this guy, the Master, he's this human. It's almost like a tribute to John Carpenter's The Thing, in a sense, because this guy, he was out in the Arctic, and Arctic Circle, and then this ship that was frozen in the ice kidnaps his ass and basically integrates him with the computer. And the original purpose of the computer wasn't to kidnap a human, I don't think. I think what they did was that they sent these through different planets throughout the galaxy, universe, whatever. And then they had these eggs that would grow, and that's what Marina is that she's not an Atlantean. She's actually from another planet, the aquatic, member of Alpha Flight. Where is she? So this ship that's in the ice, it then is calling to her, and it's making her like feral, savage, because her purpose was this embryo that was, like I said, it was sent to all these planets, and then it'll take on more of a shape adaptable to that planet, still kind of the same eyes, color tones, but this one is Marina, and she's supposed to be taking part in world domination. Another world domination story. Yeah, John Byrne's great. Look at that cover. And I got that because it's a newsstand. And these next few comics that are coming up are going to be some really nice newsstand buys that I got as white covers. These are cheap white cover buys. They're in nice condition. Alpha Flight Snowblind. Alpha Flight number 6 is out of January 1984. This is the first appearance of Colomach. He is the embodiment of winter. Let me show you this guy. It's like a mystical being who was woken by the industrial mining that was going on for oil. Here's Snowbird posing as a intelligence agent for the Canadian government, I believe. Awesome artwork. Just great condition too for 50 cents. James McDonald Hudson. So he used the information from Eureka's father, Darkwind, right? From those Daredevil comics. It's the formula that was used to bond adamantium to bones. Look at this. Not a lot of work going on here today. Short day at the office. Looks like somebody had to go out of town this week. White cover. Alpha Flight number 6. Beautiful condition for a newsstand, isn't it? Just got that for the white cover. Just thought it was really cool looking. I don't know, Dreadstar. This is issue number 8, written and drawn by Jim Starlin out of January 1984. Same thing with Rye. Can't say as I know Valiant too much, but I think that cover is by Jim Shooter. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first appearance of Bloodshot. Let's take a look. November 1992, Bob Layton and Jim Shooter's story with David Lapham art. This is where Jim Shooter went, started the company Valiant after he left Marvel. Another nice white cover. This is AC Comics. This is the same publisher as Cauldron of Horror. It's a recent comic book that just came out that I displayed. So AC Comics has got Black Diamond. This is issue number 2. Although he did not do the interiors, this dope cover is by Paulo Costa. July 1983. Fat Ninja, issue number 3. Fat Ninja, issue number 5. Really cool random finds. This ran for 5 issues out of Silver Wolf Comics. This guy, Christoph Silver, this is his label, and he wrote and created Fat Ninja. So in the other comic book that's from Silverwolf, it's written by Chris Silver as well, co-created by Tim Vigil. This other comic book is called Grips. It's this crazy anti-hero, Grips. Well, Grips' day job, when he's not being Grips, is the creator of a comic book called Fat Ninja. So here we got Fat Ninja, issue number 3, October 1986, cover date, first appearance of the Crimson Ninja. Ooh. So this is written by Chris Silver. The art is by Gary Amaro. December 1986. Fat Ninja battles Shadow once again. Meanwhile, the galactic refrigerator crash lands on Earth in the Antarctic ice. That's the synopsis I got here for this last issue of Fat Ninja. I have never read a Fat Ninja comic book. Looking forward to checking it out for sure. For sure. Valiant Efforts. So, Valiant Efforts. This ran for 2 issues. This is actually the second volume. The first volume of Valiant Efforts also ran for 2 issues, but it was only distributed in the Southern California area. The creators behind this comic book are Ralph Ellis Miley, Charles Thomas Whitley, and Don Ensign. $1991. Wow. Really cool. Little indie alternative press. Awesome. And yet another one. Wave Warriors, issue number 1. The publisher is Astro Boys. This is out of 1987. Written and drawn by Salvador Daniel Paskowitz. Never seen a comic book that involves surfing before. Copyright 1984. I love it. I love seeing somebody going for it. They don't have all the money in the world. They don't have all the talent in the world. They wanted to get from point A to having nothing to point B right here. I just find that profound. It's very cool. Especially from like the late 80s, early 90s. I know there was a black and white boom, but by something going on with indie publishing. Just curious if anybody knows the history of that during the late 80s, early 90s. And last but not least, Bay City Jive. Looking for issue 3 now. Got issues 1 and 2 of this 3-issue limited series out of Wildstorm, July and August 2001. Written by John Layman. Art, Jason Johnson. Salaciously bodacious protagonist going on here, it looks like. Where is she? There she is. And on that note, I float. Chilling on a C note, y'all. Thanks a lot for visiting my channel. Oh, one more thing. This is from the planet Karn. What's going on is this asteroid hit the moon, and then it turns out that these ancient life forms, the Karn, were just hibernating in the moon. They were, whatever, in some rock in the moon, and when that hit the Earth, they ended up attacking the Earth. Look at that. It's got projectiles. So what, we can have projectiles today, but then, wasn't it with the Battlestar Galactica? Battlestar Galactic, that ship, what, late 70s? One of its missiles, some kid choked. This is cool, these things fire. Alright. Nice. Look at that. Doesn't that look like a spider? Look at that, doesn't you see that? Doesn't that look like a spider? Like right there. Yep, looks just like a spider. Right there, yep. Looks just like a spider. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for swinging by. Much love. Stay safe. Till next time. Peace.